Today I'm going to talk about a planet that I have seen and visited that is related to the Great Migration of people from Earth who are going to transition from here to other worlds. And I know of 3 that I've been shown briefly, but recently there's been one that they have given me more information on because they want to introduce this planet to us at this time because it is the closest frequency that many of us will be able to transition to from here. So when this first began a little while back, I was shown on a screen with the extraterrestrials I work with 3 planets, and it was just a brief introduction. I sort of saw more or less the makeup of the planet, like the environment, like some of them had mountains and snow, and what kind of, if there was water, what did the water look like? And it was more of, here are 3, there may be more, but this was sort of an introduction for me to let me know that they are trying to bring this information out now so that those who are ready can start putting these ideas together in their mind and start getting lucid dreams and astral travels and their own telepathy, telepathic messages, their own automatic writing. However you get guidance, you'll be able to start getting more information on these planets because there is a great migration coming, and I have many videos on that. So this one particular planet that they have shown me several times now, and I wanted to wait until I had enough information to even do a video on it. This one planet is very much like Earth. And so those of us who have expanded our consciousness enough to have released our past, our lineage, our past, our addiction to the Earth, our addiction to our earthly identity. We freed ourselves up from that, and we are expanding our consciousness to accept that we can move somewhere else. We can live somewhere totally different than the Earth. This is speaking to this group, and this is a planet very close to our frequency, our density, so that it doesn't require massive, higher density vibration expansion to get there and to experience this new reality. It's similar to us. So there are ways I have mentioned in a couple of videos past. I talk about this alien technology that is able to take your astral body, and when you bilocate to a specific place, they are able to take your astral body, and they are able to, with this technology, solidify it into the density or frequency or reality that you are temporarily visiting. I've also mentioned that our consciousness is attached to our divine blueprint. Our consciousness is multidimensional. Bodies are abundant in the universe. So bodies are easily created, and this is what we have to start getting used to. We have to get used to that our consciousness is a universal traveler. It is a multidimensional traveler, our consciousness. And our consciousness has a blueprint that is generating patterns for us to be able to exist in other frequencies of light. So the advanced extraterrestrials know this, and they know how to take your astral body and teleport it to a place and then densify it with technology so that you're walking on that planet or in that spaceship, as I've had videos about that spaceship idea. You are able to take this idea and work with it and begin to understand that manifestation of bodies is quite easy in the advanced realms. So this planet I was originally taken to and brought in with my astral body. So we're not talking about my 5th density smart body. That's not the body I used here. So this means anyone astral traveling can use this. This astral, can visit this planet. This astral body was then taken with my ET friends. There's one particular ET I'm working with. He's about 7 foot tall. He's very well built. He's not thinly looking. He's built, and he's about 7 foot tall. He is taken me there. And when I have manifested, when they have done the technology to manifest me there, I have been walking in a city. This is a city with tall buildings. Many of the buildings are linked together with these little walkways, you might say, but these walkways have sort of a moving motorized, I'm using earth technology, sort of a motorized walking platform like at the airports. So you can move between buildings by getting on this little conveyor belt that moves you along. So, and they also have technology there where you pass through these portals, just like in Star Trek really, where you can portal from one place to another within the city. I have not portaled out of the city, but I have seen how you're portaling from place to place in the city. So there's no transit really for living in the city, that you can just use these kind of technologies. What's interesting here is all the bodies are very humanoid. In fact, there are humans already living there. And in fact, those beings who were born on that planet, there are several that I was shown that are living on this planet. There may be more, but I was shown where some of these beings from this planet are living. One of them's living off the Mediterranean coast. It's a female. I saw what she looked like. She has sort of a light brown, sort of flowing, short, medium hair. She has a little bit larger nose, bridge, more Mayan maybe. Her skin is sort of tannish brown. It could be Italian, could be Spanish. And I'm not saying that's what she is. I'm just saying it's a darker tan than a pale color. She had beautiful eyes. She has a wider, more fuller lips. And she's living in a little flat or a little bungalow, whatever you want to call it, overlooking the Mediterranean in kind of a nice area. And she has enough money to take care of herself, or she has abilities with technology to do that. I wasn't shown all that. She loves to wear floral clothes and long kind of floral loose sort of resort clothes. And then another man I was shown is living in New York. And he is in construction, and he is more, I would say, Mayan Indian looking, in that they have a little bit, their nose is a little more defined, their lips are fuller. His hair, though, is not straight and black or straight and dark brown. His hair also was a little bit lighter brown color. And he has tattoos on his body. The reason he has done that is because he has some natural spots that run along his jawline and sort of in parts of his body, that in order to blend that in, he's sort of tattooed himself a little bit so that it just all blends. Now, moving back to the planet that I was visiting, a lot of them take their meals communally. The whole focus on this planet is very communal. Is that a word? Communally? In that in the city, they're busy doing things, use the word work, they're working, or they have projects that they're doing, but when it is time to eat, there are like these like cafeterias, a word I could use, centers around the city that are very large. And when you walk in, it is a huge room that has these long communal tables. They're not like tables of 2 or 4. They're all long, like picnic bench, you know, long tables that will hold 10, 15 on a table. And food there is like an area in the back of these rooms where you go and get your food. It's almost like that Star Trek replicator. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it looks familiar in that you can request what you want and it comes out to you. How that happens, I wasn't shown. It could literally be being cooked somewhere, but it just shows, it just comes out what you want. So they take that and they go and they sit anywhere in this gigantic auditorium. It's a huge auditorium. And they all eat together. And this is what's done in the city. They're eating together. They're all going down these conveyor belts back and forth to these cities, buildings. They're portaling technology. There could be other types, there is other types of vehicles, which I'll get to in a minute, but there could be other types of conveyance vehicles I wasn't aware of in this visit because I was up higher in one of the buildings that was like a much taller building, and I was at the medium level of that building, sort of looking down and seeing all this action going on throughout all the buildings. So that was when I met a man there who was sort of my guide. He was there when I materialized with my astral body, and he was the one that was in charge of solidifying me into their reality and allowing my body to manifest. So I will tell you, our self, our human self that we are familiar with in our astral body was materialized there. This is why you guys will be able to go there if this is one of the places you're vibrationally set to easily, because you will not have to go into a body where you have blue skin or bald or you're tall or you look more alien. These are very humanoid people. So he was my guide through there. He wore a little fedora hat. He had clothes on that were silk, soft, silky material. Their daily work environment, the clothes were very comfortable. They weren't tight jeans. They were like baggy, a little bit baggy, loose, silky pants and tops. Everybody was very relaxed in their clothing, and some had hats or some little decorative thing that they used to style themselves up. Okay, so I want to move to the next visit I had there. Was in a different part of this same planet, and it was in a very high mountainous range area full of snow. And I was with a different guide at that point, and we were walking through this snowy terrain area deep in the mountains of this planet, and we went to what would be maybe considered sort of a defense. I don't want to use military terms, but we could say it's their, let me say it's their space fleet. That's a better word. It's a place where their space fleet is basically housed. So I went inside that area, and there are all kinds of spaceships there that this planet uses. And I didn't see anything that looked military as far as military type uniforms, but I was taken specifically into a room, so I didn't see too much around me. And then in this room, there were 18 of us there. Most of them were from the planet, and there was a couple of us that were not from the planet, and I was for sure the human there. And we were learning to pilot these smaller vessels. We were going to learn how to pilot these smaller vessels. These smaller vessels take two. It's a male and a female. And they, the ones that are from the planet, they had this equipment on their arms that seemed to have been attached somehow organically, these devices that were on their arms. For me, because I wasn't from the planet, they had created one that could sort of snap on, for a word. It could be put on and it sort of snapped on, or it went around and then sealed. And we were taken to the little ships, and little compared to their bigger ships. It's still a good size little, maybe you want to call it a scout ship. It's only term I could think of right now, but it was a shuttle, like from Star Trek. It was a good sized little ship, but it was piloted by two. And when you sat, these devices on the arms were sympathetic or vibrationally aligned to the counterpart you were with. And whatever reason, it was male and female. I don't have the science behind that just yet. It wasn't like two males could pilot or two females. Had to be a male and a female. There was something to do with the infinity energy that runs between a male and female. And these devices on our arms were meant to link to the person with us. And these people who were from this planet had already integrated with their partner, so these devices on their arms were more part of their body. I don't know if they could come off. They maybe could have come off, but they look different than my temporary one. So maybe it could come off, but it looked more integrated. And when you're sitting in the seats, and I was going through simulation practice with one of these partners who picked me. Let me back up just a minute. So out of these 18 people, some of them had partners, but there was a few who didn't have a partner yet, or who volunteered, I will say, to work with the off-planet people that were there. And so I was one of the off-planet, and so there was a male man who volunteered to work with me. And I don't know if this had been previously set up vibrationally. I don't have enough details on that, but he chose to work with me. So maybe at some point when you grow up there and live there, there's a vibrational match for this. Maybe it's just the technology and there's no necessary vibrational match. But he picked me. So I went with him and we sat down. He already knew how to work everything. He already had these devices sort of integrated into his system. So he was training me how to pilot this ship with him and use these arm devices. They didn't cover my hand. They just were like an arm device. And it's very interesting because at some point when we were going through assimilation, we were sitting side by side. We had to lock our arms together or touch these devices together. And even at one other simulation we were going through, traveling, I think, through portals or maybe wormholes or something, there was some kind of crossing of our devices together and moving. So there was some kind of interaction with these devices with each other. And then also on the console, these devices sort of sat there and they lit up is not quite a word. Let's just say they became activated and they were sort of integrated into this piloting system. But there was definitely a link between male and female and these two compatible energies. So this is something really brand new. I have never seen this before. So I want to bring this to you today because I was told that this is the planet. This is a planet. It's a long ways from here. I don't know the coordinates. It doesn't have a name that I can give you, but it's many, many light years from here. But it is one that our group of people who are migrating will be able to go to much easier than some of the other frequencies, of the other two planets whose frequencies are, when I say more expanded, I'm not speaking necessarily more evolved. So don't feel like you're not going somewhere more evolved. But these other couple of planets, and I have only seen them in the screen, I've not been there yet, they require a consciousness that can really separate the ego identity and really integrate into an alien sort of identity. You still have the head and arms and legs. You're not going into like some sort of weird reptoid or some sort of bird or something. You're going into a humanoid. But you know, the key about this migration is the ability to let go of self, the identity of self. I'm a human, I have all my human memories, I have all my ego patterns, I have my belief systems, I have my likes, I have my dislikes. Some of that ego identity you know as your human self is able to integrate in this planet that I'm telling you about. So we always retain our memories. We don't ever not retain our memories, but they are stored, you might say, and can be pulled up if necessary. If we go back to visit that planet, we can pull up memories of our time there. But at this first planet, you will still have some of your ego identity, knowing, a little bit about yourself in that humanoid form. In these other two planets, your past as a human is much more stored. And when you step into those bodies, you really don't have any thought process of your identity from the past. You could pull it up, it's not gone, you always have that memory, but your focus is an entirely different frequency, and you are not even thinking about Earth or anything that you had in that lifetime. So what that requires is for us to really have a large ability here to separate our consciousness from our animal ego identity. Okay, I hope I'm making that clear. So for many of us, we could get pretty good at that, but we still may have some of our ego identity, and it's going to be so much easier for us to go to this planet sooner. This is people that are moving into this first part of the migration. The greater part of the migration, there may be new people coming in whose spiritual skills are more advanced than this level here. And those younger generations will be able to separate their consciousness out from their ego identity, and they might be traveling to those other places easier. But for maybe part of this first smaller little groups that are going, this might be the best place for many of us. So that's my discussion for today, friends. And please feel free to leave your comments below. Please come and join my Patreon group. September is going to be a great discussion on our family lineages, and our powers and abilities, and what we can bring forward that's good of the human race, what's good from the human race. And that's going to be integrated and always go with us no matter where we go, our best qualities. And so that's the discussion for today, friends, and I'll see you in the next video.